Conor McGregor's known for making wild comments that shock viewers and peers alike. He's a great fighter, but most fans know him as the biggest mouth in the UFC. Somehow or the other, he finds himself in the news because of his own doing, and it's no different this time either. In fact, now he's come out to make another startling confession about losing his belts. So let's get right into his tweets. First up, Conor McGregor makes a surprising confession about UFC gold. Undeniably, Conor McGregor is one of the most sought-after names in the MMA community. Plus, the Irishman is the only fighter ever to hold UFC championships in 2 different weight categories at the same time. And who can forget that McGregor's also recognized for his outspoken and usually arrogant social media remarks. Recently, he took to Twitter to respond to a post by ESPN MMA. ESPN MMA's piece listed fighters who had lost their championships without defending them at a later stage, and McGregor's name appeared twice on it. In fact, the piece claimed that the Irishman had forfeited both his titles, which didn't sit well with the martial artist one bit. So Mystic Mac decided to share his thoughts on the matter and revealed that he gave the belts back. He wanted fans to know that UFC hadn't stripped him of the titles. He had dominantly won both titles when he got under Jose Aldo Jr.'s skin to win the featherweight championship and then beat Eddie Alvarez to win the lightweight championship. After such performances where he displayed his supremacy, he wanted to remind everyone of just that. Up next, the UFC explained why Conor McGregor had to give up his championships. At UFC 194, McGregor defeated Jose Aldo to win the featherweight championship in December 2015. But after achieving it, he seemed reluctant to fight in a match to defend the championship. Plus, his original opponent, legendary fighter Daniel Cormier, suffered an injury right before the bout. This forced the UFC to schedule an interim featherweight championship bout as the main event. Soon, the UFC took away his championship because of inactivity and crowned Jose Aldo to be the undisputed champion in the featherweight category. The UFC boss, Dana White, had stated at the time that Conor was required to either defend his title or give it up. McGregor had to do something, and White would sit and talk with him about it, but the champion chose to give up his belt. Later, history would again repeat itself. McGregor would defeat Alvarez at UFC 205 in 2016.
Here in this round, though. Oh, man, until that. He's done. It is all over. History!
And go on to win the lightweight belt, but he wouldn't be able to hold on to it either. In 2017, McGregor announced that he would be taking some time off for the birth of his first child, and the majority of his appearance in public would take place only so he could campaign for a boxing match against Floyd Mayweather. Eventually, the fight was scheduled and came to an end in the 10th round with a victory by TKO for Mayweather. In 2018, McGregor was finally stripped of his lightweight title as well, and Nurmagomedov was crowned the undisputed champion after his win over Al La Quinta at UFC 223.
Undisputed UFC Nurmagomedov!
Moving on, could the bus incident have caused a problem? McGregor was arrested in 2016 after he attacked a bus that contained Khabib Nurmagomedov and his entourage as they left the arena. While some believed that the altercation was to help create more interest in the UFC, this was never proved. After being on the run for a few hours, McGregor turned himself into a police station. At the end of it all, he was required to perform 5 days of community service and attend anger management classes. Many fans believed that this event forced White to take away the lightweight championship from the Irish martial artist. Following up, Coach Kavanagh believed McGregor was wronged. McGregor's martial arts coach, John Kavanagh, also seemed to agree with McGregor's version of events. According to him, the UFC didn't handle matters in the right way. Kavanagh claimed that the UFC decided to take away the titles, and he was very disappointed with the organization. He had gone about it in a very messy way, because they'd lost Cormier due to an injury and were worried about losing sales if they canceled the bout. They chose to put together a haphazard interim event to make up for it. And if that wasn't enough, they crowned Aldo to be the undisputed champion, who wasn't even in the running in the first place, which seemed ridiculous to the coach. Kavanagh added that other fighters had held the title for as long as 15 and 18 months, but McGregor's titles were taken away from him in just 11 months. And once again, that didn't seem right to him. And now that we think about it, it doesn't seem okay to us either. Coming up, McGregor tells UFC to sign a previously rejected fighter. Despite being the biggest celebrity the UFC has ever seen, McGregor attends events outside of just his own. And since several of his teammates have competed in other organizations, such as Bellator and others, he's also been known to voice his opinions and attend events that are not affiliated with UFC. The 2022 PFL Championships, which saw 6 fighters leave as season championships with $1 million checks in their names, was one of the latest non-UFC events McGregor had his eye on. One of them was Brendan Loughnane. Loughnane, who won at featherweight despite being famously turned down following an appearance on Dana White's Contender series. At the time, the UFC president denied him because he attempted a takedown at the last minute of the match. McGregor was quite impressed with the previously rejected boxer after witnessing Loughnane defeat Bubba Jenkins to win this competition. As a result, he logged onto his Twitter and told the UFC to sign him and give the fighter another chance to compete against the top featherweights in the world. There's no doubt that Brendan Loughnane values this ringing endorsement from Conor McGregor highly, but he still might not be as interested in joining the UFC now. Let's not forget that had the UFC not rejected him, he wouldn't have won all of this money in the first place. Next up, how Loughnane won the PFL title and $1 million. Brendan Loughnane defeated Bubba Jenkins to win the PFL featherweight title and the prestigious seven-figure reward, which turned him into a millionaire. The British MMA fighter had lost to the eventual winner, Mavlid Khaybalev, in the semi-finals of last year's competition when he was now battling for the chance to win $1 million. This time, though, Loughnane was better prepared. He had a remarkable run leading up to the championship, taking down Ryoji Kudo and Ago Huskic in close contests before making it to the championship round with a spotless victory over his bitter rival, Chris Wade, in August. The Brit began the fight by aiming with calf kicks for Jenkins' lead leg, who was looking to bring Loughnane down to the mat. But Bubba isn't a one-dimensional fighter, and proved that by mixing up his moves to prove he's better and injuring his opponent. The second round was brought to a halt by a groin strike so that Jenkins could recover from Loughnane's illegal kick. But the tide turned for the Brit, who began to land more and more kicks. By the third round, Jenkins was unable to take him down, giving Loughnane the upper hand. Badman, aka Jenkins, appeared exhausted in the fourth round and was unsteady on his feet as Loughnane attempted to take the fight to the ground with his kicks. He was knocked down with a superb right hand from Loughnane, and although he was able to get back to his feet, the referee waved the fight off after the soon-to-be PFL champ hit a well-placed knee. Finally, what did Loughnane say after the match? After the win, Loughnane revealed that he liked Jenkins, and while it was unfortunate that he had to fight him for so long, he loved his opponent from the bottom of his heart. He also gave fans some insight into what was going on inside his mind. During the fight, he forgot that there was a championship on the line or that there were $1 million at stake. All he cared about was performing as well as he could. The win also gave him a confidence boost as he recalled how he had now won 2 fights against other featherweights. In fact, he believed that his performance proved that he was one of the best featherweights on the planet. It was nice to see that Loughnane was so self-aware after his win. He credited his victory to all the hard work he had put in over the past years and from the first minute that he wasn't going to lose. While his energy was high throughout the match, he knew Bubba had begun to waver by the fourth round. While he said he was speechless, Loughnane managed to exclaim that he was very grateful to the PFL for picking him at a tough time in his career. He had finally won a belt, and that was what mattered. If he continues to perform this way, White may have to reconsider his decision and sign him up fast. That's a wrap for this video. Do you agree that McGregor gave up his titles, or did the UFC take them from him? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.